Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to Wizard Island. It's not quite an island yet, we're working on that. An island of all the sense of there's nothing above it, below it, to the sides of it. It is just devoid of land. So, and I'm actually getting ready for a meeting, and I'll have to cut this one short because I don't have a full 30 minutes before the meeting, but I'm gonna take the meeting from home. It's our weekly stand-up where a lot of companies will do a stand-up meeting where the people will get together and kind of like it's kind of like Scrum. It's where the whole office gets together or the whole department or the whole team, whatever. I've had stand-ups where it's just like the team and then they go and literally stand up on the shop floor, have a meeting about what's going on for the week and what they need to focus on or where they're yeah, whatever. So this one, normally it takes me about half an hour to get to work, like comfortably. I don't like to run in late, and I did learn from my first job out of college that if you're not at your desk and ready to work by the time work starts, then you're technically late. Because they used to give us snacks and coffee, and I'd go over there and start getting my snack and coffee, and I might sit down at my desk by like, I think it was at 9 when I was supposed to be there. Maybe by like 9:30, I'd be ready to work. And that wasn't on time. Which is funny, it's like the exact opposite with this job. It's like, you can get up, go to a doctor's appointment, go to a therapy appointment, go to this, go to that, go to that, as long as you're getting your work done. And not only do I get my work done, I get work that wasn't even on my radar done. Because in IT, especially when you're in charge of support, like I am the director of support, unofficially, I'm not really a director, but I do direct the support. So all of the issues, every last issue, as long as it comes through our ticket system, my eyes touch it. I see it, I process it. It was the same thing over at the aerospace company. I was on the tier one team. I was actually offered the manager's position of that team. Um, yeah, which ended up paying about the same as the direct hire job, which I also took with that company, or I took the direct hire job so I could have like, you know, health benefits and stuff because we didn't have health benefits on the tier one team. We were a contractor team. And yeah, and it's ridiculous, like the way that this country has to run. Oh, something funny though. The DEA headquarters, DEA HQ, posted something about like Happy Sunshine Day or something, and I posted an article of how there's hundreds of deaths in police custody every year, mostly from the war on drugs. I was like, your office is a sham and needs dismantled. Like the Drug Enforcement Administration is such a joke. Like, Reagan goofed and poor people are paying for it. Because that's the truth. American Made with Tom Cruise, it's one of my favorite movies now because it explains what I've heard countless drug dealers and drug users say over the years is it was the CIA. It was flat out the CIA. Not intentionally, but accidentally because they wanted to fly spy planes to keep an eye on the communism that was happening in Central America, when in reality, like the communists weren't really all that big of a threat. And then the guys flying the planes ended up finding out, oh, hey, we can just smuggle a bunch of drugs and get a lot more money than what we're getting paid for this. So, not paying enough for a job, which, that's ultimately why I left the aerospace company. Because it was just ridiculous. Like, it was $18 an hour, which would have been fine if I was doing the same work. But instead, I was expected to do all IT and like I was driving between all the different locations, and we had several locations in northern Colorado, Windsor, Loveland. Like the one that I worked mostly at was right down the street from my house. It didn't take me, more than like 5 minutes to get to work. It was beautiful. And even though my boss knew about that, and he knew that I didn't have a lot of money, he was like, all right, now I need you in Loveland, or now I need you to go to headquarters, which was downtown Fort Collins, which takes a good half hour to get there, and then you got to deal with traffic with all the other people going, all to sit at a desk and do everything that I could have done from my home, which I do now in this job whenever I want. If I want to work from home, cool. Like my work is about the same. Granted, I do still need to come in so I can help with like on-site IT issues when people's computers are acting up and they want someone in person to help them. But I don't know. But the DEA. Oh my gosh, more problems than they solve. They cause more problems. And almost every single crime can be traced back to either crimes of passion or substance use slash substance abuse. That's it. I mean, and a lot of it's alcoholism, which is like the number one gateway drug. And then, but like, well, we can't attack alcohol. That's grandfathered in. That's enshrined in our ways. So what do? Oh, let's make weed the devil's lettuce. Like, let's make weed the dangerous thing, even though it's to this day zero deaths of overdose. Now, I've seen some deaths of like traffic incidents, which I argued with this one guy that if you drive tired, you're more dangerous than if you drive stoned under the influence of cannabis. And under the influence means noticeably and visibly impaired by the substance. So, and I had a person from HR explain that. Like, technically, we could show up at our work functions after smoking a little bit of bud. I mean, I don't think anybody's really bold enough to do that, but like, it's it's allowed. So I don't know. We're seeing a lot more common sense, which is great. I mean, we need to be doing that and really evaluating like what's going on. And as is, we are killing American citizens because we are scared of the boogeyman that was brought out by a bunch of propaganda films, Reefer Madness, and like jazz musicians do coke and like sleep with white women or something like that. Like extremely racist and ridiculous things that nobody really took the time to be like, no, wait, we found out later, these aren't really this. And if you really look at the hardships felt by people, the majority will tell you, oh, well, that's because, this, and this. Like, was it hard because of the drugs, or was it hard because nobody would hire you since you had a felony on your record? Ah, so you can only work at places like McDonald's and fast food and places or like backbreaking labor that just destroy your body, and you're supposed to chin up and deal with the hand you're dealt and all this while there's wealthy people and Hunter Biden. Like, I mean, again, I support Joe Biden. He's much better than Trump. He's the better alternative. He's still a bad person. And until he comes out and says all Americans deserve to be protected from the war on drugs, then I'm not going to believe everything he says. I'm just going to be like, well, this guy sat there and did nothing while his son smoked crack on camera with two prostitutes in a hotel room. And then I also have a video of him saying 5 years in prison for crack. That's what you get. So, how many Americans went and had to spend 5 years of their life behind bars for the same thing that his son is doing on camera? Like, that, oof, that's pretty embarrassing, because it is. It's true. It's like, why are we allowing this to happen? And Trump's even worse. He wants to bring back the death penalty for drug dealers because of the fentanyl crisis. But never mind that we have like a whole slew of movies and entertainment, like, well, documentaries and investigative journalism, and finding out that the Sackler family, with the help of doctors, lied about OxyContin, said it was non addictive, non habit forming, prescribed it to a bunch of people, and then got a bunch of people hooked on opiates. And Sacklers are free and billionaires. Like, they've got tons of money, but the American people suffer. And the people are starting to realize that. Be like, wait a minute, there's what's going on with this? So, yeah, Trump wants to bring back execution by firing squad. Like, he doesn't want to just kill people that get caught with drugs. He wants to shoot them dead. Like this was the Wild West or something. And it's that shock and awe for his followers, like, oh yeah, and they think that, shooting a few drug dealers is going to fix the opiate crisis, when in reality, it's the slew of medical professionals that allowed this to happen. I have a friend who died from addiction. His was specifically huffing, but he was prescribed opiates, painkillers for a broken arm. He was an athlete. He did sports. He did what we were supposed to do, what we figured. And he was so confused why he was addicted to these things. And he's like, but I'm a good kid. I don't do like hard drugs. I don't go out and hang out in sketchy places. Like, doesn't matter. You went to a doctor that said, here, try this pill. This pill is extremely habit forming, extremely addictive, and as soon as you're done with it, just toss the rest in the trash if you can. Don't go out there and, sell blood or plasma for money so you can buy more drugs, like, or this or that, or rob people or work your whole life to, yeah, it's the time of retribution. And then we've got synthetic meth too, which I was actually prescribed for a few years, and I can testify it's about as stimulating as any stimulant off the street, like Adderall. I mean, it's like the wonder drug. It makes you super focused, hyper focused, and productive, only kinda. Because you feel productive, but then at the end of the time, you're like, wait a minute, did I do any actual studying? No. Did I do any actual work? No. Like it was just I felt like I was being productive. I mean, and that's kind of that's not completely true. Like you can be productive on it, but it's just really easy to abuse because it's like, whoa, there's a rush of energy. Your brain's like, wow, all this information going on, all these things happen. I feel so alive and blah blah blah. Anyways, that's why I said that substance use and substance abuse education should be lumped in to any education that we have just to keep people safe. Because as is, if you believe like the DEA, which still has marijuana scheduled as one of the most dangerous drugs in our society. Seriously, the most dangerous. When anybody who's used it is like, wait, that's it? That's marijuana? That's cannabis? Like, oh, okay. Give it a couple hours, you'll be fine. You'll walk it off and go do something else. Like, big whoop. Whereas drinking, you drink, you're not really sober until you've slept it off, and even then, there's still a chance that you could be impaired by the alcohol. Not just like having it in your system, be impaired by it. I had a friend who got a DUI because he blew hot the next morning. He was just dropping our friend off to go to his car because they were trying to be responsible, but they had way too much to drink, and then they were still drunk the morning before, the next morning, and yeah. But alcohol, yeah, sure, totally fine. Don't worry about it. Let's get some more. Let's get some like naked women to advertise it. Well, not completely naked, but let's trick people into thinking. The Simpsons does it perfectly. Like Homer's trying to keep his son straight because he thinks he's losing his son to gay people, and like so he makes him sit in front of a billboard that has a couple of beautiful women having a pillow fight, and then there's like cigarettes. It's advertising cigarettes or something, and so. And he's like, "How do you feel, Bart?" I feel okay. I could go for a smoke though." He's like, "All right, what's your pleasure?" Like, like he's just happy that he's staring at women, and he's like, "What's supposed to be, what's normal?" And then he's like, "All right, let's go get some cancer-causing nicotine and tobacco." And like, it's just like, I love comedy because it just points out how ridiculously bizarre our culture is and continues to be. And it's like, how do we fix that? So, anyways, we're getting pretty close here. We got about 10 minutes. Only like 12 minutes in. So yeah, this is gonna be a short episode. Plus, I gotta be like ready to be part of the meeting too, which not really. I mean, I'm dressed. Doesn't even matter from the waist down, like 'cause it's a Zoom meeting. So, um, oh, hmm. Oh yes, and the bed. I was out exploring, and I realized that could be very dangerous. Also, I have plenty of glass now. I want to continue that. Now I need to start building the thing. And that tower, I don't know how tall it's going to be, but it's going to have a bunch of offshoots. But for now, we need the bed. There we go. Okay, so my respawn point is set. If I were to die, because I don't even think I've slept in the other area. I'm not too sure. Oh, wait, no, yeah, I take that back. I have. So if I were to die, I would have just gone back to the other base. But that's still annoying. If you're over here, you're doing stuff over here, you kind of need your respawn point to be where you're working at. So I wanted to make sure I had one of those just in case. That way it's a lot easier to run back to your stuff and run back to your stuff and gather it up. Okay. No, and I say all that stuff with the war on drugs with an experience of my family worked in the prisons. Like first they worked in the mines and then the mines closed down. So it's like, okay, what do we do now? We're stuck up here in the middle of nowhere with not a lot going on. Oh, hey, the prison's hiring. Okay, so a lot of people went and started working for the prison, and then, started to realize a lot of these people are here that really shouldn't be. Like, oh my gosh, it's a whole family trying to get these. No, I hate doing it. I love cats, but they're messing with my birds. Also, because there's gonna be eggs. Okay, now you, and you. Sorry, you. You get eggs. There we go. Okay. So I don't know, and I think we're going to need to continue to push on this because there's still a lot of people like, and it drives me nuts that Kamala Harris was a lead prosecutor, or prosecuted several people for cannabis, and then she's now saying nobody should be in jail for cannabis, and President Biden has said that too. Nobody should be in jail or prison for cannabis, like marijuana. Like it's just okay. Now we're finally realizing it, but then what about all the other drugs? Like, yeah, they should maybe be in jail for a little bit for like meth and heroin and stuff, just so they can get like their life figured out, back on their feet, the resources they need, and be like, okay, now you've got this, but no. And we've proven that the real thing is alcohol, but we've also proven that prohibition of alcohol doesn't work. But at the same time, yeah. And it doesn't help when you see all these rich, famous people doing all the same stuff, but without the problems because they have a nice, couple of houses they can choose where to go to sleep it off, or they can go pay for a hotel room at the drop of a hat. Like, one, two, three, four, five, six. Like Hunter Biden, if he didn't have that money and didn't have like a hotel room and stuff, well, for one, he wouldn't have two prostitutes. I mean, that's first off, that's unrealistic. Like, and not just one, two. Like, okay, sorry, and I'm not like justifying male urges, but at the same time, I'm saying that it is male urges to be like, wow, one woman, two women? Oh, let's go have a party and like all this. Oh, we have a nice warm hotel room to come back to, and all this is all cozy and like, you know, no. The majority of people are like at a house party or something. They'll do something. They'll maybe find a lady or two who's like just out there, just as poor as them, trying to do the same thing. Like, and then it's like, oh, we got to protect the children. We got to protect the. What about all the children with parents in jail for drugs, or not even in jail, like still facing stuff, like having to show up for classes and do UAs and talk about how they're messing up and everything, and then oh there goes Lindsay Lohan doing like 10 pounds of coke, like it's nothing. Oh, but it's okay. She was in movies. Like what? Okay, it's it's ridiculous. And then what was it? Jim Carrey, I saw a quote that I think was from him. I don't know, I'd have to fact check it to be sure, but it said, "I wish everybody the ability to have all the money in the world and realize it's not the solution to your problems." Okay, but it would sure solve a lot of the problems that the average person runs into. And that's that blind spot. When the yacht spelled out, we're in this together, I wanted to just go out there and sink all those yachts, just shoot a missile at all of them. Because, like, seriously, you're out there hanging out on your yacht saying, oh, please don't pollute because this is my air too. Great. I'm not trying to pollute. I have to go, 20 miles uphill in the snow to go to my factory job where I could get maimed or dismembered or killed. Oh, but you acted really good in a movie. You played pretend once and you got millions of dollars, and now you can tell me how I'm living my life wrong. And what was it? It was that one meme. I saw one of my buddies post this meme, and I like Taylor Swift. My kids like her music, but at the same time, she's just out of touch with reality. Cause the meme was it's got the guy from Seinfeld, the chubby bald dude, and he's like, I'm watching my paper straw dissolve in my drink while Taylor Swift flies to meet her boyfriend around the world and flies her private jet and causes more suits. And it's true. Like a lot of these famous people doing these things, and, and having their own private jets. Same with John Kerry. He was like, no, it's my wife's jet. What? Okay, so big deal. It doesn't matter. And, and Trump's not blameless either. He's out there flying with like the Trump mobile, the giant, real, like, plane sized plane with Trump blasted on the side of the plane. For what? So he can be there in person and impress people? So he can limp around as he's getting older and, like, show that he's still, Billy Bad A? Like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here. No, Ocelot. You leave my birds alone. Anyways, it's ridiculous. So that's why I like foo funds, because then it's actually like you're loaning money out to people that could use it. They're still dignified and they're paying it back, but they're not being gouged by ridiculous interest rates that add hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to any price. Like, Yeah, you're paying for somebody to just happen to have the money. Oh, I'm rich enough to have this money to let you borrow it for a while, but here, pay me a bunch of money just for doing that. Like, that's basically what's happening. Whereas you got all these people with all this money that they don't know what to do with, it's not making them happy, and that would make them happy. They could be like, oh, and maybe even if it's like sponsor a kid, like they send you pictures like, hey, we just got a new car thanks to you, and we'll pay you back the money, but now our kids aren't riding in a rust bucket and fearing for their lives on the way to school. Yay! You know, while Hunter's off there doing crack with a couple of prostitutes in a hotel, and like people are lining up in a soup kitchen because they got laid off from a factory. Like, yay! I'm just kidding. Like, it's a gross oversight, but I mean, these are the things that people need to realize. Be like, oh crud, now I'm on the hook for that. Like, and I don't say anything. And every day Biden doesn't come out and say, you know what, we need to rethink the war on drugs, is another day where he's failed the people. I'll still vote for him. I'm gonna let him know. I'll send him a letter. I'll write him letters. Like, you know, the comedians are doing it too. Like that's why I love Jon Stewart. He's not afraid to just bash both sides and show how ridiculous it is. I watched him on Gaza, Israel, and he was very brutal on both sides. He's like, and he's Jewish. He's very outspoken Jewish. Like, I mean, very proud of his Jewish heritage, and you know, he rallies for the Jews as it should be. I mean, everybody should have a champion. But at the same time, where's Gaza's champion? And he was talking smack to Israel, being like, go blow them up. No. So, anyways, that's my time. I gotta go to my meeting. Ta-ta, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Try not to be too angry at your fellow person. Remember, we're all out there just trying to figure it out. And we need to gently guide the wealthy people to let them know, hey, you could be doing this. Foo funds. Feel better. All right, ta-ta, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you later.